Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Wednesday, the 28th of October, 2020, and we're providing our regular midweek update where we can see that both gold and silver are taking quite a hit. So let's take a look. Okay, so we are seeing just a little excitement in the precious metals market, albeit negative for those wishing to sell and positive for those wishing to buy. Now that said, a quick shout out to our video published yesterday entitled Hidden Silver Treasures, where we show you some pieces of silver in lifetime recently discovered hidden away for a couple of years in our home. Some of it not easily available today, and some reflecting purchases made, in fact, at about the time we originally set up this channel. Now, we have placed a link to this video in the description box below, together with the video we produced on Monday entitled Why the Bond Market Could Collapse, where, frankly, we are really referring to the corporate bond market, though we would more expect a serious decline in its value rather than necessarily a collapse per se. So, let's get back to what's happening today. Well, we have equity markets down. Gold, silver and other precious metal prices down. Crude oil prices down below the important $40 level, but Bitcoin and the US dollar is up. So let's take a quick look at what's been happening. Okay, the time is just shy of 1600 hours GMT plus 1 on the 28th of October. We're looking briefly at equity markets and we can see nothing but red. So we've got, at the moment, the Dow Jones Industrial at 26,770. That's down 692 points currently, or the equivalent of just over 2.5%. We have the S&P 500 index at 3291, down 99 points, or nearly 3%. And we have the Nasdaq at 11,115, down 315 points, or 2.76%. And if we scroll down, we can see that in Europe and the UK, we're in a similar situation. So we have the Euro Stocks Index, which is down 4%. I said similar situation, a worse situation, I should say. The FTSE 100 down 185 points, or 3%. The DAX down 560, or 4.6%. The CAC 40 index down 189, or 4%. And the IBEX 35 index down 203, or down 3%. So quite a hit on European and US markets so far today. Not disastrous by any means, but if my memory serves me correctly, I think the FTSE index is now trading close to a 6-month low. Asia Pacific, obviously they closed overnight, but even there, little change, just marginally negative or positive. Going to be reflective this evening, of course, depending on how particularly Wall Street as a whole ends up overnight. So we can see that this is quite significant. Okay, looking at the bullion by post charts, we can see live prices 1600. That's the time we're producing this now. And if we scroll down to gold in US dollar terms over the last week, we can see the markets closed on Friday at 1902. They dipped upon opening, recovered somewhat, were up on Monday, rose slightly further on Tuesday to 1910. Towards the end of Tuesday, have peaked to 1911, I think, since the opening. And have a look. In the last, what time? Sort of 5 hours, or, well, slightly longer than that. We can see since 6 o'clock, in fact, this morning, the gold market, look at that, ski down as far as low as 1870, although it has recovered in the last, if I go to the day chart today, we can see that it has recovered a little in the last sort of certainly in the last hour or so. Quite a hefty fall. We'll talk about that in a moment. And if we look at silver for the week, in US dollar terms, we'll see a very similar situation. Closed Friday at 24.62. Actually dipped but remained in negative territory actually through the course of the week. So under pressure all week. We did envisage it might have risen ever so slightly at some stage, but it's struggling, reaching those resistance levels that we mentioned in our weekly update on Saturday, struggling at that 24.50 level, but just about hitting it each time. And of course, a sudden fall today. If I go for the day chart here, we can see that, look at this decline. Of course, charts make it look far greater than it is. We're still only talking, let's be blunt, on a day low and high of between 23.05 and 24.50. But that's a $1.50 day change, which is quite significant, as you can see. And dipping about just over an hour ago, we're seeing a recovery now up to 1600 hours. Of course, there's still time for the market to trade, and we shall see what happens later on. Whilst we're on this chart, we might as well take a look at platinum to see how that has gone. We don't normally look at this, but why not? And we can see that platinum started the week at 909 or ended Friday at 909. Big fall all the way down, and is now currently 881. And palladium in a similar position. Closed last week $2,400. Look at this fall here today. Down currently to 2251, down 159 on the overall week, but that week is for 7 days. And if we take a quick look at Bitcoin, because we all love looking at Bitcoin, we can see that Bitcoin has risen again to 13,220, peaking about 2 hours ago, 12 hours ago, 13,850. So that's what's happening on the precious metal markets today. So as we can see, equity markets under pressure, and Bloomberg has just reported headlines: S&P 500 tumbles in worst stock rout in 7 weeks. We'll quote just a small excerpt from there. Stocks tumbled in the US and Europe as rising coronavirus infections and tougher lockdowns added to worries about the economic hit from the pandemic. The S&P 500 index fell more than 2.5%, headed for the biggest drop in 7 weeks, amid a surge in COVID-19 hospitalizations, especially in the Midwest. Energy shares sank with oil prices, and technology stocks were also among the worst performers. The VIX index, a measure of expected US equity volatility, climbed to the highest level since June. Unquote. So, the reason, or prime reason for the fall in precious metal prices is a mixture of a rising US dollar and the falling euro. The euro is under pressure because of coronavirus cases are rising considerably in Europe, with France and Germany now likely to close down their economies once again, with the United Kingdom already in various stages of a short-term lockdown. There have been some doubts about a coronavirus vaccine being mooted, but the woman in charge of procuring possible COVID-19 vaccines for Britain said today that the rollout of the earliest shots could start this year, though, and wait for it, their effectiveness is likely to be limited. Now, a quote from Reuters earlier today, quote, stated, "The problem with the second wave is that although we are far better prepared than we were for the first wave, the reality is that the first wave occurred late in the traditional flu cold virus season. Deutsche Bank's Jim Reed wrote in a note. The second wave still hasn't even hit November or December yet, and we're still seeing cases soar in many places. Unquote. Well, the dollar index is well back above the 93 level at 93.38. That's up 0.44 on the day. So we have falling equity markets, precious metal prices and oil, and a rising dollar, which once again reasserts, even in this environment, that the US dollar is still currently the safe haven currency to which investors flock. Now, we'll share this at the moment, but we'll need to do a little more research. But we are growing concerned about silver prices because these lockdowns will undoubtedly have a negative impact on the industrial demand or the perceived industrial demand for silver. And we could see its price fall closer towards the bottom of our 23, then down to $22 to $26 range. But let's just wait and see what happens during the course of this week. Now, on the economic news front, new home sales were marginally up in September, as were durable goods orders. The Consumer Confidence Index fell from 101.3 in September to 100.9 in October, and we are, of course, awaiting jobless claims and GDP figures due out tomorrow. Now, we've stated for some time that the coronavirus plus the presidential elections are going to be the significant factors affecting gold and silver prices as a result of their impact on the US dollar. And we can see, without any doubt whatsoever, that the virus, hospitalizations, cases are not just rising slightly, but rising considerably. And of course, the worry for most is this increase in the death rate, which naturally should not be a surprise because it does tend to lag 4, 6 to 8 weeks behind the rise in cases. That's the end of this update. We hope you found it useful. There will be a lot more ahead during the course of the week, no doubt. But meanwhile, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel, not forgetting to press the bell sign so you're notified of our videos as and when they are published. And we're planning on putting out a Richard and Greg video tomorrow on a topic of daily interest. And so if you haven't subscribed to that one, we invite you to do so likewise. We hope you have found this video interesting and informative, and if so, please give it a thumbs up and share it on social media. Please ensure that you have subscribed to our channel and press the bell sign so that you are notified of any future videos. Also, kindly visit our website at illuminatisilver.com, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe either as a free or paying member for regular email updates and offers. Disclaimer. Illuminati Silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.